Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse or some kind of punishment? I often think about the God who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him. These words, spoken by the protagonist 2B at the beginning of the game NieR Automata, are perhaps the most existential phrase ever written in a video game. And they confront us with something we've all felt at one point, the feeling that we are walking toward an inevitable end, and that maybe all of this is just a cruel, meaningless game. But what 2B doesn't realize, and what Nietzsche might have taught her, is that the question isn't whether life is a curse. The question is, what are you going to do with that awareness? If life is finite, then every moment is precious. If everything will end, then every instant gains a weight that no eternity could ever offer. The paradox of existence is that it is precisely its impermanence that makes it valuable. This is fully verifiable in the very biology of living beings. One cell divides, another dies. The body repairs itself, the body ages. Life sustains itself, life exhausts itself. This spiral isn't a flaw in the design, it is the design. Impermanence isn't a curse. It's the very condition that makes beauty possible. You can only love because you know love can end. You can only feel joy because you know sadness. You can only strive because you know failure is possible. Without the end, the beginning would have no meaning. It is by admiring the beauty of transformation, which finds its materiality in living and dying, in the start and finish of cycles, that we can arrive at greater truths and face life with the utmost pleasure. This is what Nietzsche tried to teach us when he spoke of the eternal return. Imagine a demon appeared and told you, this life, as you live it now, you will have to live once more, and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it. Every pain, every joy, every thought, every sight, everything will return. How would you react? Most of us would shiver. The idea of repeating all our mistakes, all our losses, all our humiliations, it feels like punishment. But Nietzsche asks, what if you could answer yes? What if you could look at your life with all its pain and failure and say, I want this again, I want this eternally? That would be the sign that you have truly affirmed your existence, that you aren't just enduring life, but loving it. So far, we've discussed the nature of suffering at length, and its role in human history. I believe that the pain of reality, which arises primarily through uncertainty, is the genesis of creativity. As I explained in the previous video where we discussed Kierkegaard's philosophy. Were it not for the angst we feel over the countless paths we can take in life, we could never choose the true path, that is, choosing God as the answer to all things. The eternal cycle of destruction that 2B refers to is actually a process of learning, in which the pains we suffer shape our route toward what truly matters in life. If we had all the answers, all the well-being, all the health, why would we need to think? If we have the cure for the disease, why would we seek the remedy? I plan to elaborate on this in another video, but evil, as we know it, exists so that we may know good. And that is why God placed the forbidden fruit in paradise, so that man might know God and his own finitude. The same applies to our everyday decisions. What happens if this goes wrong? What will politics look like 4 years from now? What if she rejects me? The possibility of everything going wrong is an illusion, because we don't even know what going right or going wrong truly means. Every path can yield every possible outcome. Not every victory is truly a victory, and not every defeat is truly a defeat. It all depends on the lens through which we view the event, and how we can act in response to it. This is Amor, Fati, love of fate. It is not resignation. It is not passively accepting what happens as if it were an unquestionable divine will or a simplistic notion of right or wrong, good or bad. It is something far more radical. It is learning to want what happens. It is looking at the past, including what hurt, and recognizing that all of it was necessary to make you who you are. Every mistake, every failure, every loss, every sleepless night, all of it is part of your story. And your story is the one thing that no one can ever take from you. Amor, Fati isn't about killing, it isn't about liking suffering. It's about integrating it into your identity so thoroughly that you wouldn't wish it were different. Because if it were different, you would be someone else. And you want to be you. So I ask you, who are you? What do you believe in? What are you willing to live for? How much longer will you waste before you take his responsibility for doing what your thoughts and what God expect you to do? This is where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes a tool for life, not just a set of abstract ideas. When you understand that time is limited, that death is certain, and that the eternal return is an invitation to live as if every moment were eternal, you begin to act differently. You stop procrastinating, you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you stop hiding behind excuses. You realize that life isn't a draft for something better that comes later. Life is what is happening now, and what you do with this now is the only thing that truly matters. This channel was born precisely from that proposal. It's an act of action. By transforming my excess of thoughts into ideas that might improve the lives of those who listen to me, I am redefining what was once my sickness, my anxiety. Now it becomes an ally that has created a new universe of self-awareness for me, where I can express my thoughts without them being trapped solely in my head. And what about your act of action? What will it be? That's why To Be's line is so powerful. It expresses the lament of someone who hasn't yet understood that the end is not a flaw. The end is what gives shapes to the story. If life were infinite, there would be no urgency, no risk, no heroism. The hero exists only because they can fall. Love exists only because it can end. Art exists only because time passes. The awareness of death is not a curse, it is an awakening. It is the moment when you realize you have no time to waste on lives that aren't yours, on dreams that aren't yours, on values you inherited without questioning. But how did we get here? How did an entire civilization learn to see finitude as a curse rather than a blessing? The answer lies in how we've built our values over the centuries. The way we face life is directly tied to the Judeo-Christian morality that the West has cultivated over thousands of years. Now, I'm a Catholic, but I agree that Nietzsche's critique of institutions that use this morality as a form of power, including the church itself, is a valuable critique. Indeed, a false idea that was created that Christianity is about humiliation, compassion, weakness, and submission, so that Christians adopted these behaviors as if they were attributes of moral superiority. But the truth is, Christianity has nothing to do with that. By sacrificing himself for us, Christ affirmed life. What society does today is deny it. People preach a God who loves almost unconditionally, but the Bible constantly reaffirms the need to serve the truth, that is, to serve Him. What happens today is servitude to an imagined God, rather than to God Himself, as if it were all simple. Follow certain religions' rites and you will be saved, otherwise Satan is waiting for you. This notion is certainly ridiculous, and so simplistic that the Bible itself refuted it in several of its books, like in the book of Job, when Job's friends are directly rebuked by God, who suggests that their notion of a static universe, punishing the unjust and glorifying the just, is wrong. God is the one who defines right and wrong. We don't have that power. And as Ecclesiastes teaches us, We shouldn't judge that in others, since we don't even know how long we ourselves we will remain righteous, because everything is fleeting. And the moment institutions take upon themselves the divine authority to declare what is right or wrong, regardless of which values they elevate as virtuous, a power dynamic is created. This is where Judeo-Christian morality crumbles, because these notions were created according to subjective perspectives. After all, no philosopher is truly impartial in their analysis, since they create their worldview based on the world they know. This is what Nietzsche calls perspectivism. For example, during the Middle Ages, amidst so many disasters like the bubonic plague, tribal wars, and famine, the idea of memento mori emerged, a stoic interpretation of that reality, that everything is fleeting and everyone's destiny is death. Hence, the orientation of that entire society revolved around an utmost macabre cult of death, without denial of life. The same problem exists in the pursuit of truth initiated by Socrates, who inaugurated rationalism in the West. From the start, the search for truth denied the sensible world, that which we smell, feel, touch, see, in favor of a supposed world of ideas where everything is perfect and wonderful. Even though reason today is more independent of these metaphysical notions, man still tries to fulfill his existential needs in search for meaning through logical explanations, so that science now presents itself as the new religion. Seeking truth here is just a backdrop for something greater, an existential void, a need to find meaning, a need to make life's pains have some sense, a need to find a correct path that leads to a favorable outcome, bringing certainty and existential security. Thus, we have a reality in which religion, misinterpreted, guided humanity's existence until reason came along and exposed its fragility. And the same reason, built upon the same existential needs and subject to the uncertainties of reality and fate, is also fragile. What then is left for man? Today, I'm 23 years old. Now, when I was a teenager, one of my favorite franchises was the Assassin's Creed series. In Assassin's Creed Revelations, the protagonist, Ezio Auditore, speaks about the meaning of the Assassin's Creed. In his words, nothing is true, everything is permitted. At first glance, it sounds nihilistic. It sounds like an invitation to chaos. But he explains, to say that nothing is true is to realize that the foundations of society are fragile, and that we must be the shepherds of our own civilization. To say that everything is permitted is to understand that we are the architects of our actions, and that we must live with their consequences, whether glorious or tragic. Our society is decadent because the values it projected were built on fragile foundations. They emerged as a response to a need to find meaning in things, without even considering the possibility of the non-existence of meaning. And that changed everything, because it created an incessant need to reaffirm meaning in order to gain security in the face of the universe's apparent contradictions, like disease, injustice, and death. And what is the result of all of this? Anxiety over not knowing what will happen in the future. Panic when things don't go as planned. Depression because the void cannot be filled by anything that is fleeting. And how does society try to cure all of this? With more reason, through psychotropic medication and belief in institutions and people. Or with more religion, through increasingly macabre rituals of self-sacrifice and piety. Ezio's observation of reality shows us that we must be the shepherds of our civilization as we seek the truth as impartially as possible, far from the shackles imposed by tradition. At the same time, he recognizes that this search for truth can have countless different outcomes, including our own destruction. Hence, everything is permitted, because the truth we find and the ways we live by them can lead us to countless outcomes, and regardless of whether they are good or bad, they will be our own doing. This is the lesson that 2B is missing. She believes that she was designed to end, that she's trapped in an eternal spiral of life and of death and destruction, that her existence is nothing but a game of different gods. But the Assassin's Creed tells us the opposite. There are no absolute truths that can determine who you must be. There are no institutions, religions, or systems that have the right to dictate what is right or wrong. That doesn't mean everything is relative, or that right and wrong don't exist. It means that you are the sole person responsible for building your own values and living by them. Nothing is true, so you can create your own truth. Everything is permitted, so you must take responsibility for your choices. You realize then that freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about choosing what you will do with the life you've been given. You can choose to be born. You can choose your family, your country, your body, your initial circumstances, or your final ones. But you can choose what you will do with all of it. You can choose your response to suffering. You can choose your values. You can choose who you become. And this choice, repeated at every moment, is what gives existence its meaning. 2B's line ends with a question that echoes through the centuries. I often think about God who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him. It's a question Nietzsche also asked, in a way, when he said that God is dead. He wasn't celebrating atheism. He was announcing that the foundation of Western values had collapsed, and with it, the illusion of an objective meaning, a cosmic justice, a final reward also died. What's left? The void, nihilism, the feeling that everything is permitted because nothing matters. But Nietzsche didn't stop there. He realized that this void isn't the end, it's the beginning. If God is dead, then we are responsible for creating our own values. There's no manual anymore. There's no authority to tell us what's right or wrong. We are alone. But being alone doesn't mean being lost. It means we can finally write our own story. And that's where the Übermensch, the overman, comes in. He is the one who refuses the shackles of tradition and accepts the responsibility of deciding how to live in a world where values have died. It's through cycles of destruction, pain, and adversity that he forges his path, finding his destiny and building his own civilization, of which he is the shepherd. He architects his own future, knowing that the very conception of the future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the present moment in which he can act and be something. And if what occurs in that present moment is pain and suffering, he accepts it willingly, knowing it's part of who he is. He has love for his fate, Amor Fati. If thinking or living too much leads to madness, then so be it, because that is the nature of the free spirit that decides how it intends to live its life. And that's what 2B doesn't understand. She looks at the cycle of life and death as a prison. Nietzsche invites us to look at it as a dance. For him, death isn't the opposite of life, it's its condition. And life, in all its beauty and cruelty, doesn't need a god or a reason to be justified. It justifies itself through every moment of joy, pain, love, and struggle. The question isn't, is life a curse? The question is, how are you going to live, knowing it will end? So, what am I trying to say with all of this? I'm saying that the curse to be feels is the same one many of us feel when we wake up in the morning and think, what's the point? The same one we feel when something goes wrong and we ask, why me? The same one we feel when we look at the future and only see uncertainty. But this curse is in fact the key. It's the reminder that life isn't a dress rehearsal. It's the opening night, and everything matters. Nietzsche taught us that human greatness doesn't lie in avoiding suffering, but in transforming it into something creative. Suffering isn't a bug to be fixed, it's a material to be worked on, like a sculptor who sees the form within the block of marble. We can see the possibility within the pain. Every failure is an invitation to start over. Every loss is an invitation to reassess what truly matters. Every fear is an invitation to courage. This isn't about romanticizing suffering, it's about recognizing it as a part of the human condition and learning to dance with it, rather than run from it. The eternal return isn't a theory about the universe, it's a test for your own soul. If you could live this life exactly as it is, forever, would you choose it? If the answer is yes, then you've already discovered the secret. If the answer is no, then you still have to work to do. Not to change the past, but to change how you live in the present, because the present is the only thing you can transform, and every transformation is a step toward a life that would be worthy of being repeated eternally. Now, when you hear 2B's words again, I hope they sound different, not like a lament, but like an invitation. Life is designed to end, yes, and that's precisely why it's so precious. We are trapped in a reality of life and death, yes, and it is precisely this movement that gives us the chance to start over, every day, with every choice. Is it a curse? Or is it perhaps the greatest blessing we could ever receive? The chance to create, to love, to fall and rise, to make mistakes and get things right, to live fully aware that every moment is unique and unrepeatable. This isn't a punishment, it's what makes everything possible. So, if you're reading this and you feel like your life is just a thread woven into a meaningless tapestry, I want to invite you to look again. The tapestry doesn't exist without you. You are both the thread and the weaver, and every choice you make is a stitch that changes the fabric of the story. Don't wait for a god to give you all answers. Don't wait for an institution to tell you who you should be. Don't wait for life to become easy so you can finally start living. Start now. Create your own values. Affirm your own existence. Say yes to the life you have, not just the life you wished you had. Because the life you have is the only one that can be transformed, and transformation begins when you decide that the curse isn't a curse. It's an invitation to all those willing to hear the voice of truth. And for those who believe that truth has a name, for those still searching, it is a horizon. And the important thing is that you have already begun to walk.